change, you get left behind. So what we try to do is with teams of people who come and live and work in the country, alongside the government team, we try and do what we can to help them implement and get things done, whatever their priorities might be. And here in Kenya, you're at least fortunate in the sense that the president's established his big 4 priorities. They're very, very clear, one of which obviously is manufacturing. And one of the things that I've noticed in the just over a decade now that I've been doing this work with my institute in Africa is that today technology becomes increasingly important. And the way technology operates, I think, has changed in a very fundamental way. We're in a situation today where the question for every country in the world, doesn't matter what stage of development you are, is if this is truly a 4th industrial revolution, if it's going to change everything, how do you access the benefits of that change? And how do you mitigate some of the consequences which will be felt in things that people used to do becoming outdated? Right. Now, we know that it will displace some jobs. There's no doubt about that. The ways that we do things will, if they change and become outdated, then that will displace jobs. But as we can see from just coming around Gearbox today, it's also going to offer immense opportunities. And the way those opportunities are best going to be delivered is by a combination of 2 things. By the public sector doing what only the public sector can do, but the spirit of enterprise and innovation in the private sector doing what, frankly, the entrepreneurs do best, and government often doesn't do that well. Now, the interesting thing about Gearbox is that it creates, I guess, a platform to which people can come and get help. And over time, hopefully, Gearbox itself can expand and develop so that what it's providing here for a limited number of people, it can provide on a much larger scale. Because all of this, in the end, is about scaling up these opportunities. Today, it's going to be about teaching young people to be creative thinkers. Because the internet and technology is going to give you the information, but the teacher's going to have to become a guide, and a guide in order to enable people to think creatively. Because when you think creatively, that's when you come up with these types of inventions. That's when you have the ability to adapt as the world around you changes. Because the one thing for sure is this change is only going to accelerate. So this is the way the world is today. And Kenya is, within the context of Africa, known as a center for technology and innovation. The question is then, as I know the minister's passionate about this himself, who comes from the private sector, he spent his many, many years in the private sector, operating in the rational world of the private sector. Now he's come into the crazy world of politics. So he's ascending that learning curve fast, but it's great that people like him are prepared to come in from the private sector and give their own commitment to public service. But in the end, it's all about accelerating this process of development of the technology sector, of creating the platforms that can help the entrepreneurs succeed, so that in the end, the country itself becomes better off, better able to handle its own problems, better able to educate its people, feed its people, give it proper healthcare, make the transport system work. It's very obvious what you need to do, in a sense, to succeed in the modern world. The hard thing is doing it. And what you're doing here at Gearbox is an amazing example. And I really do congratulate you. I mean, I know you've had many visitors come through. You probably get fed up with the politicians coming through in here. But they come through because they see and are told about something that's remarkable. And the one thing I'm absolutely sure of is this, that in today's world, one useful thing is that it's pretty obvious what you need to do to succeed. Right? The really tough thing is doing it. And what you're showing here in a very practical way is how it can be done. So thank you so much for having me along here today. I've really enjoyed